Kevin, good morning. I'm Tom Dott.
Tom, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Good
you.
morning, Kevin. I'm Karen Abel with
Nice to
Android.
meet you,
Nice to
Karen.
meet you.
Thanks for investing your time with us this morning.
Thank you for coming.
How are you?
Doing great.
Good. Anything new and exciting going on at ABC Company?
Well, what's new and exciting? This new test that we have just got FDA approved, and so people are really excited about the fact that they can start, they have a product to sell, and one that we think will change a lot of people's lives.
It's pretty impactful.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I bet.
Everybody's having a good time.
I bet. Well, again, we want to really thank you for taking your time here with us this morning, and just to give you a little background, I'm volunteering this year as chair of the Insurance Finance Division. In my day job, I work for First Business Bank. Had the great honor of doing a lot of things with United Way over the years, and really feel very, very vested in it, and very excited to be in this role. And I'll let
How did you first get involved in United?
You know, it's a really good question. It goes way back. I think my first exposure to United really was through an agency. I was a Big Brother to Big Brothers and Sisters, and then was a loan executive back in 1998. Then I was on the Key Club committee from there for 12 or 14 years. One of the really cool things I got the opportunity to do was to be, one of the founding principals of the Rosenberry Society, and we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Oh, you helped start that?
That was very, very cool. Very, very proud of that and what that's been built into. So
Was that your idea, or did?
it was actually modeled after a program that was already in place it was either Memphis, I think it was. So there was a little bit of the structure in place, but of course, we tweaked it extensively and made it our own, and I think that's what's made it really successful. So that's pretty exciting.
And Karen, how about you? When did you first get involved in United Way?
So I'm actually relatively new. I started in January, but jumping right in and really excited to be here. I transitioned from Minneapolis actually, so heard amazing things about
Welcome
United
to
Way.
Madison.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm excited to be here and learn more about your company and your involvement in the community and what we can do to help you and your employees. So thank you. You had a phenomenal campaign last year, so thank you for everything you did. Huge growth, and so we're just excited to be able to talk about that with you and everything you're doing. So.
And also just want to thank you for your personal commitment and support of United Way as well. I mean, we couldn't do this without everybody stepping up and working together. So thank you very, very much.
It's an important part of what we do at ABC.
Yeah. Well,
Wait.
and tell us a little bit about that in terms of kind of your corporate culture and what are the important things that ABC Company stands for.
Well, it's really important for us to engage with our employees and make sure that our employees have an opportunity to connect with the community. We think that it's an important part of ABC being a good citizen in the community and giving back to the community, strengthening the community from which we draw our employees. But it's also really important for employees at ABC to feel like their company cares more than just about their day-to-day grind. We want them to feel like they have other avenues to grow as a person, and we think that United Way does such great work. For us, it's just kind of an obvious way to have people energized every day.
Are there any particular areas about any of the United Way initiatives that particularly resonate with either you or the company's philosophy?
Well, for me, it goes back to early on in my career being a United Way donor when I worked for General Motors in Michigan. So this goes back 30 years ago.
Okay.
So that it was my first introduction to United Way and understanding the impact that United Way has in communities. But the thing that really impressed me about United Way in Dane County was their management approach and how they pick very, very clear priorities. They set numerical goals. They really want to measure the impact that they're having. And then if they don't achieve those goals, they rethink the goals and invest the money. So it's a very business-like approach to problem solving.
Right.
It's not just, that's the thing that impressed me the most, it's not just about spending money to spend money, it's trying to make an impact and measuring whether you get the impact.
Right.
And so my first meeting with, it was really during one of these meetings, almost 10 years ago with Gary Walter, who came to the company that I was with at the time, Third Wave, who kind of laid this out, the evolution of how United Way went from an organization that tended to give money and not look for results.
Sure.
To one that the business community said, hey, look, we actually want to solve problems. Let's do it in a business-like way.
Right. You know, that's a really good point. And I mean, jumping around here a little bit, but since you brought it up, I mean, I think the great example of that is one of the current initiatives, which is the Pathways Out of Poverty initiative, and then the Hire initiative that kind of came from that, which I think really exemplifies what you're talking about relative to a high-profile community issue that was immediately attacked, for lack of a better term, by United Way in terms of, you know, immediately developing resources and allocating them towards solving what really was at the root of that initiative and all the other initiatives that have come from that. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. It seems like the board is very engaged at United Way, and that the leadership at United Way is very thoughtful about how they reach out to the community. United Way leadership doesn't seem like it's just trying to solve all these problems on its own. It's really going out to the experts and coming up with these strategies that seem to be having an impact.
Right, right. And you know, again, I couldn't agree with you more. And to that point, I just want to show you something here as we take a look at your, I know I have it here. Here we go. The CEO brochure, and it talks really a bit about that. If you want to just open it up on the front there, and it talks about obviously some of what you just talked about, the root causes of the issues, how they tie into the agenda for change, kind of some high-level statistics about the scale of the problems in and around Dane County, but then really addressing the issues of collaboration and moving towards solutions towards those problems. If you look over that second page there, it even goes so far as to talk about the allocation of the dollars for 2015, specifically around Pathways Out of Poverty, some of the initiatives that go along with that with Hire, which I think really demonstrates, again, you know, the critical nature of addressing the issue, identifying the issue, creating resources, collaboration, and then executing.
Is the total amount of money spent by the United Way here in these three categories?
It is. That's what the allocation would be for this year based on the board's recommendation.
So it's about an $18 million budget?
About 19.
19.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing
And
I would
that's probably why you're here today.
it is in part why we're here today, absolutely, absolutely. And I appreciate your zest in going right for the heart of the matter. The second piece I want to call your attention to is your organizational profile. And really what this does is it lays out for you kind of the history of ABC Company in its giving patterns, both in terms of the corporate contributions, the employee gifts, leadership giving, employee participation. I think it really maps out a wonderful trend for you to be able to illustrate where you were and where you've come to. And as Corinne pointed out, you guys had an amazing 82% increase in dollars over year over year last year, which was phenomenal. So again, thank you very, very much for that. So now, of course, the challenge is going to be how do we do that and more this year. So there's a couple of pieces of this that I just want to point out to you as well. This is kind of the historical aspect of where you got to, where you are, talks about the leadership giving history, the affinity groups like Rosenberry and others, and we'll talk about that again in a few minutes. But more importantly, if you go to the center of the middle page and it talks about the 2015 campaign goals, this is what we've put out there for you as a challenge to ABC Company for 2015, which would be approximately a 13% increase over last year for a total dollars of $98,236 for next year, which is, again...
How did you come up with that?
That's a really, really good question. I think part of it is, we go out and we assess what we believe the needs in the community are going to be. We like to have these conversations because these conversations are really kind of a critical part of assessing what the goal is going to be and kind of what's going on in the marketplace. So we want to understand from you and other leaders in the community, are there any challenges to your business? Are there any economic challenges? Is there any reason why you think this goal isn't achievable And certainly the goal is for you to say absolutely and then some. But we also want to be there to help you get there.
So as you can see, we had an increase in participation from 32% to 70%.
Yeah.
And that was in part because of a conversation that I had with the president of the UPS division that supports our company. And he said that they have, with 13,000 employees, 75% participation.
Yeah.
So we made a bet that we could get from 30% to 75%. We fell short, but we doubled the participation. And so I guess the challenge that I have here is I think we can probably do better than a 13% increase.
Excellent.
And we should work with our team internally to figure out, because we've had significant employee growth.
Right,
So if
absolutely.
we can achieve that same participation rate, we should be able to do
Right.
better.
And participation is really important, clearly.
Right. I think that is what really gets people in for the long haul, which is what, we don't want donors. We want people to be deeply vested in United Way. So I guess the thing that I would ask for support is, how do we stay at 70%?
Right.
And I think sometimes we don't, the management team doesn't really get committed